Hi everybody, this is Mrs. King. The point of today's video is to help you with building a house in Tinkercad. So just like before, we're going to go to Learn. This time, however, we're going to go to Projects. And you're going to find right here, the third one in Builds a Tinkercad House. So while mine is loading, I'm just going to let you know, this one is a little bit more in depth, meaning it's taking all the skills that we learned and it's combining them all into creating something that we all are familiar with, a house. So you're going to be following along the directions on the left-hand side. You can watch this video, of course, or on the dock where I want you to put your screenshot. There are directions on there as well. So there's 3 different places to get your directions. So first, our finished product is going to look like this on the left-hand side. So I'm just going to keep clicking through till it tells me what to do. So I'm going to get my box, and it tells me to make it 40 by 20 by 10. So my length, I'm going to make 40. My width, I'm going to make 20, and the height, 10. So click enter, and then it keeps shrinking. You'll see on the side. Going to the next step. Now, this next step, this is how we're going to create a hole in the house to get the walls. So in order to do that, you're going to have to, it says to duplicate the red box that we already have. So here's my red box. I'm going to duplicate it. All right. And they don't say this first. I'm going to use the black cone. And I'm going to pull mine up a little bit just so I can see. See how there's 2? I'm just going to pull it up more. See how there's 2? I'm just going to do this so that I can see the shape. Just for my benefit, not theirs. All right. So they want this shape to be 1 millimeter less on each side. So what that means is, we have 2 sides for our length. Right now it's 40. So if I take away 1 millimeter from each side, so 1 millimeter times 2 sides is 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the 40 to 38. That's going to shrink it just a little bit. I'm going to do the same thing for the width. So the other 2 sides, they want it to be 1 millimeter less than what's there. So there's 2 sides. I start out with 20. So 1 times 2 is 2, minus 20 is 18. I'm also going to change the height. They don't say this, but I did this before this video, and this makes it so much easier. I'm going to make the height, I'm going to double it. I'm going to make it 20. You're going to see why in a minute. I'm going to make this a hole. And I'm going to put my shape down. So I'm going to click my cone and I'm going to put it back down. So you might want to change your view to make sure. You're looking to see that your box has, see that red outline? That's good. You want that. So you're imagining that if you were to group these, which we're going to do in a minute, that when you group them, this hole is going to take away all of the rest of that red box. And make sure it comes out on the bottom because you want it to go all the way through. So mine actually looks good. So I'm going to click here and I'm going to drag out to select both of my shapes. See, it says 2. And I'm going to group. So the hole is going to become an actual hole. See that? So now we have the walls of our house. I actually skipped a step there. So I just did 2 in 1. So I'm going to jump ahead to the next step. Add shapes to make a doorway. All right, so let's read here. Place a red shape on the round roof. Okay, on the work plane. So I'm going to get a box. And it wants us to get a round roof. Round roof, not that one. All right, round roof. Select the round roof shape and use the black arrow on the top to model to lift the work plane to 20 millimeters. All right, so I'm going to lift it to 20. It says 20. And then I'm going to use my arrow keys. It works a little easier. It wants us to put it on top of the original box that we had. So you might want to change your view to help guide it on. If you didn't know the arrow key tip, it helps move shapes a little bit easier than with your mouse. I think that looks all centered, right? I think it might ask you to align it too, actually. Yeah. So it wants you to align. So we need to select both of these shapes. So select both, just like we did before. Here's our alignment button. And I'm going to do the middle one and this one in the front in the middle too. So that makes sure that both of them are lined up correctly. All right. Once you click group, so it wants us to group these to be one single door. Uh-oh, I got my wall in there. Let me redo. Make sure it says shapes 2. Make sure that you don't get any others in there. And it wants us to make this a whole, it said. All right. So we need to resize this. So they give you a hint here holding the shift key. So I'm going to hold my shift key and I'm going to pull one of the white boxes. And this is shrinking my door. So I'm going to just drag it. Uh-oh, when I dragged it over, it resized it. Be careful when you drag it over. So this is way too big, right? So a door should be obviously smaller than your wall, right? But not too tiny, depending on how realistic you want it to look. And I'm going to drag it onto the wall. What do you think? A little smaller, right? That looks good. All right, so my hole is now on my wall. It kind of looks center somewhat, right? A little bit. It is a little bit through, so that's good because I have a feeling the next step is going to be to group so that we put a hole. Group the objects together to cut the door opening in the wall. So I'm going to group, select all my shapes, and I'm going to group. If you didn't know how to group before, you're going to learn how to do it in this lesson, that's for sure. All right, adding the roof. So on the right-hand side, you're going to get that green roof. Lift it off the work plane to 10. So here's my black cone, and I'm going to lift it up to 10. And I'm going to drag it onto my house. Now it's saying to put it just on one end. So we're going to put it on the far end. All right. Now it wants you to use the black dots to resize it. So a roof should be a little bit of an overhang, right? Think about other houses that you see. There should be a little bit of an overhang onto your house. Once you have it over, then you pull the other black box and pull it to the front. And then you just take a look at it. Now, it looks like mine is a little bit more over on the other, on one side than the other. See that? So I might want to go back and adjust that a little bit. All right, how does that look? That looks good to me. And then the front is overhanging and the back is overhanging. Perfect. All right. So once aligned. Okay, looks like the image. Grouping them. So they're saying, if you read all that, when you group it, it's going to most likely change the color to one color. It will be either red or green, depending on however you order things. If you want to keep the original colors, click on your new shape. If you go to the red solid color, if you click multicolor, it will change it back. But it needs to be grouped because then you can move it around your work plane. And click done. That's what you need to do for part 1, building the house. This is just the outside. We're going to do the next one in another video, another class period. All right. Thanks for watching. Bye, guys.